Hey guys, welcome to the studios here at Center Target Firearms and Indoor Range. I'm Brett. Here's Bobby, and here's Joe,
You
Three
doing, guys?
Stooges,
That's
so to
right.
speak. A little bit different. We're squeezed in here, but I tell you, I'm looking forward to this topic. Once again, the firearm you see on the table has been checked multiple times. It's clear, so we want to let everybody know about that. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video for us. And guys, we've got a interesting topic today. I watch a lot of TV.
Right.
You watch your Forensic Files.
Yeah, I watch
See,
Forensic
I'm a
Files. That's the
movie
only
buff.
thing.
I'm a movie
See,
buff.
there you go. Lethal Weapon, probably. Die
Yeah,
Hard.
John Wick.
John Wick. Yeah.
John
Well,
Wick.
okay. Perfect topic,
Yeah,
Bobby.
yeah. My wife hates watching television with me because I'm always saying that's not that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
real.
not true.
That's not
That
gonna
ain't gonna
That's
happen.
not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
So today we're talking about reality versus movies.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of things you see on television, just like I say, my wife hates watching TV with me because I'm always saying that's not
Picking it
real.
apart,
That's
yeah.
not realistic. That's not really going to happen. And I find in talking to a lot of people after officers being involved in shootings and different things or critical incidents, they actually attribute some of the shortcomings or failures they had to something they saw on television. It
Sure.
was kind of
Yeah.
resounding in their mind, or just individual people from a self defense standpoint that we'll talk to after the fact that the television or what they saw on television had a subconscious effect on them. So we thought, what better topic than to talk about TV versus reality.
Good deal. And you guys with your backgrounds, you see things a little bit different than I would. I mean, I spent 30 years talking to myself in a booth. So I see things different where I say, ooh, that's cool.
Right.
It's not. It's not reality.
Well, and one of the things that stands out to me, and I know Joe and I have talked about this before too, is the effects that a shooting on television will have on an individual. You'll see somebody get shot, even with a handgun. A lot of times, it'll blow them up against the wall. The law of physics doesn't work that way.
No,
There's
no.
a opposite and equal reaction to whatever that action is. So, for it to blow somebody up against the wall, that recoil would have to have the same impact on the person that was shooting whatever the firearm was. So whatever that recoil is basically that's the energy that's transferred onto the target. So that's not a very
Yeah, no.
realistic.
Fortunately, I have never shot anyone, but I'm aware that that's all theater. Is what
Yeah,
that
the,
is.
the law of physics doesn't exist there. And then another thing that always stands out to me is the on television, somebody gets shot one time, it's immediate incapacitation, no matter where they are shot at. And I think that sends from a self defense standpoint, that sends a really bad message because a lot of people are not prepared for what if this doesn't work. A
Mhm.
lot of even the trainings for law enforcement, they go shoot paper targets. There's never a discussion about, or rarely is there a discussion about, okay, what happens if this doesn't work? Because on the movies, when somebody is shot, we use that as an
Yeah.
example. Somebody's shot. Most of the time, regardless of where they shot, they go down. Well, in reality, there's no physiological reason, no physical reason for a person to collapse or fall or to give up what they're doing unless the central nervous system or a load bearing joints hit. There's really no physical reason for the bad guy to fall down. If I had a gun to you like this, and Joe shot me, say in the heart, the lung, I'm probably going to perish soon.
Yes.
But I'm not. There's no physical reason for me to give up.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
still
Of
got
course.
quite a while before my blood pressure drops to a point based on hemorrhaging or whatever the case may be,
Yeah, a deer
where I
hunter, a
collapse.
deer hunter could relate to that
A
because you shoot a
perfect
deer,
scenario.
you might have to chase that sucker down, you know,
Hmm.
2 miles before he drops and quits running.
Yeah.
Reason being, the deer hadn't watched television.
Yeah,
It
That's
doesn't
that's
know that
true.
it's
That's it.
supposed to. The deer doesn't know it's supposed to collapse and fall over. So I get a lot of people that will say that the person they were shot with a non lethal or non incapacitating area or in an area
Yes.
such as that just immediately collapsed, and it was the psychological effect more than anything. And I've also talked to people who said they shot somebody, officers or whomever the case may be, in self defense, and that person continued to do things. Therefore, now we start getting into this overwhelmed portion of the brain, no matter whether it's the law enforcement, military, or just a citizen trying
Hmm.
to protect himself. Once things don't go the way you anticipate them going, that's when you become overwhelmed. And when you become overwhelmed, that's when you go into this fight, flight, or freeze syndrome.
Yes.
And freeze is not a good thing if somebody's shooting at
No.
you or trying to hurt you and some seriously injure you. Um, Flight can be good, can be bad, but the problem is if flight or running away, if there is a if it's because we're overwhelmed, we're not going to make a good decision.
That's it.
You know, we're going to run into traffic, or we're going to do a snake is a good example of that. If you see a snake at a distance, you're not overwhelmed. You have time to, okay, that may surprise me a little bit,
Yeah,
but
I'm not going over
I'm
there.
not overwhelmed with that. But I've got time to formulate a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a snake. My heart's beating faster. I don't want to go there. I don't want to participate in whatever that is. So I'm going to go around it. Versus I walk up on it, my foot's lifted in the air, and I'm getting ready to step down on whatever on the snake. I realize it's a snake. I'm going to jump, not formulating a plan, not operating from the cortex region of the brain. And now I may jump over a cliff. I may jump into a pile of snakes. You know, who knows what's going to happen, but we can't formulate a really good plan. So we get to that, and then the last one being fight, and how much training we do will have a big bearing on that. And just like we said with a snake, the earlier we recognize this problem, the earlier we see that this is going to be an issue. But because on television, as I said, somebody's engaged in self defense, it blows them against the wall. You see all this.
Yeah.
You see immediate effects. I've got a darker colored shirt on. If Joe were to engage me with gunfire, there's a high likelihood he wouldn't even know that he had hit me from a visible
Yes.
standpoint, as far as actually seeing something here. So, television does that, as well as just we talk about physical as well, physical side of the house, or physical force knockouts. One punch knockouts happen all the time
Yeah.
on television,
See
and
it.
and in reality, knocking somebody out is a little bit tougher than you get them good whip of the on the button here. Usually puts somebody to sleep pretty good, but just with a fist, you see them hit them up in here, and a lot of times that's not going to do it like it does on the on television.
Yeah, the old 80s TV series where they karate chop them in
Yeah.
the neck or something,
And
they're out. That doesn't happen. And,
broken
and
neck pitch.
and guys, the brain works so funny. And we talk about, a lot of times we see things in a slow motion effect. We don't the reality time. It happens so fast.
Mhm.
It's not like Danny Glover taking aim, cracking his neck, and shooting.
Right.
You don't have that with TV. You do, but things happen just bam, bam, so fast.
Right, and there's also an after effect. You never see, or rarely do you see the after effect on television. Somebody's involved in a self defense, and I know Joe, you guys have talked about this before as well. Somebody's involved in a self defense act on television. Tomorrow is another day, and
Yes,
everybody goes
right.
about eating breakfast. When in reality, there's a process we got to go through, which is law enforcement investigating. Probably seizing that weapon,
Yes.
just for investigative purposes and all those different things. So, television doesn't go into that because that's not the exciting part from TV standpoint. But it is something that kind of shocks people, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, when did
Yeah.
when did this part come in? I'm
Why are you investigating me? Yeah, because that's the process.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, westerns are always one of the biggest things too that I see, because I love watching westerns when I watch television.
Sure.
Westerns are all right,
I like
but
westerns, yeah.
uh, what happens in a western? You got two guys square up against each other. They line up. One draws. Boom. They draw about the same time, but whoever gets the first shot off, the other one immediately, as we said earlier, immediate incapacitation. The other one blows the smoke off the end of it, off the barrel, puts it back in his holster. End of discussion. But in reality, there weren't a whole lot of gunfights in the Wild Wild West, and when there was, as we've talked about before, a lot of times nobody got hit, i.e., they shot at each other, they run out of shells, or both people got hit, depending on the distance they were apart.
Mhm.
Because I've done this before in class. I've said, okay, we're going to simulate that we've got a gun here, and you guys, as the students, you tell me who wins. I say, you say go. We're going to pull. Me and Joe pull our finger out and go bang. You tell me who wins. Draw. Bang. We both shoot. Now see who won. Uh, Joe was a little bit faster than you were, or Bobby, you won, or whatever. And it's like, who got shot? Both of
Both
you
of you,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, if we're
Yeah,
close enough
sure.
to that to happen, because Joe's not even going to know he shot in that length of time, and those and I'm not to war story anybody to death, but I've been in situations or gun fights or shootout kind of deals to where I have literally been so scared that after the fact and everything had cleared, I had to feel to see if I was actually hit or not. Just because I couldn't process any of that stuff. I could have been hit and not even known it. So westerns send that message that it's first shot's going to win no matter what. A lot of knockouts in the in westerns as well. A lot of shooting the gun out of people's hands in westerns and a lot of the movies you see. I
Oh
see
yeah.
snipers
Oh
shooting
yeah.
guns out of people's hands, and that is not a viable option under any
Yeah, no,
circumstance.
you're not going to shoot
whatsoever.
nothing out of nobody's hands. That's not going to happen.
And there were that incident happened once where there was you may be able to research this somewhere on the on the web, but there was a guy. It's sort of a barricade situation. He's sitting out in the middle of the road, and he's got the gun between his legs. And the sniper actually shoots the gun, and it goes flying through the air. And they ask him after the fact, "So how'd you do that?" And he's like, "Oh, we can shoot within a 32nd of an inch, no matter what the circumstances and all those things." And hey, hats off to this guy. Good shot. But my question is, what happens if you didn't hit him or it deflected and went off somebody else? We being our team, we set up a witness panel or a booth. We set different guns inside this witness panel and built three sides around it
Yes.
and shot it. Here was the only thing we determined from that there was nothing predictable. Sometimes the gun would disable. Sometimes the gun would the round would deflect and cause frag from the pistol itself. My question is kind of like the old analogy, well, you shoot to wound or shoot to do this. No, we're shooting to stop. And is that the best, most viable option to stop somebody? If you're justified in using deadly force, my answer is no, because what if it deflects and hits somebody it shouldn't, or whatever the case may be. All those factors have to be figured in. And then conversely, if we're not justified in using deadly force, we have now used deadly force when we pointed a gun at somebody and pressed the trigger, even if the weapon we're trying to shoot a pistol or whatever out of somebody's hand, we've used deadly force against that person. Regardless what our
Yep.
mindset is, well, I wasn't trying to kill him. I was just wanting to hurt him really bad. I wasn't really
No.
justified in shooting him or whatever the case may be. No, when you point that weapon at somebody and you press the trigger, you have used deadly physical force against that person. And the courts have found you cannot use deadly physical force in a non deadly force
Well,
situation.
you talked about westerns. I'll talk about John Wick. I like the John Wick
It's
movies,
all
right?
real.
But don't believe everything you see. So, and of course, the star Keanu Reeves, he did some good, very good pistol training, and I've
Yes.
got
Yes,
to
he did.
admit,
Yes, he
I'm
did.
impressed, and he's got some skills. And don't let me throw any shade in that way whatsoever. But for theater, there's a lot of choreography and a lot of things that transpire that are not reality. I mean, if someone comes into your house, I can think I'm John Wick all I want. I'm not putting one right there. It's probably not going to happen, particularly if I'm in fear for my life or fear for my family.
Yeah, a lot of variables start coming in. We try, and just like you said, and props to Keanu Reeves. I mean, he did Krav Maga training.
Oh
He
yeah,
did 3 gun training. He did tons and tons of stuff. And the dude's the real deal. I
yeah,
mean,
man. Yeah.
he can do work, and that's a good thing. As you said, just being able to pick a pistol up and be able to do some of the things that you see on television are just simply not realistic
Right.
for one to do. And you shoot paper out here all day long. Paper stationary, you're stationary, everything's fine. You start adding different variables into that. Okay, now you're getting shot at. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to shoot at you. We're going to put one of those tennis ball machines down range, and we're going to start sending them back. It's not going to kill you.
But it's gonna hurt.
Let's see how accurate you become then. Now let's start moving the target back
Right.
and forth.
Right.
And if you stay stationary, odds are you're going to get shot.
Mhm.
And I think it all goes back because your mind's wired so different.
Mhm.
Your mind is, and you see different things. But I think as we talked a couple of weeks ago, and we've talked about it too, training. Just don't train physically. Train your mind a lot of things
Absolutely.
because if you get into a situation like this, it's not going to happen. It's going to happen just like that. It's not going to. You're not going to have time to think. But if you're repetitive, you train, just like we train as a family, home defense,
Right.
Where to go, what to do, all this. You just get in your mind and train. It's second nature. But sometimes people don't want to go through the training a lot of times.
Well,
That's what hurts.
I'm sorry. It's no different than like we train the family what to do in case of a fire.
Yeah.
We train the family what to do in case of a tornado. We train the family what to do in other emergency situations. This is no different. And the training is a big deal. You know, the things that we're talking about, you know, when I talk about that John Wick isn't reality, listen, there's some people in the world that may be able to do what you see, but man, that's such
Oh, yeah.
a minor number.
Yes.
The average person, no, I can't. I shoot a lot. I can't do that.
And again, with him, training.
yes.
Yeah,
It's all
and you know
training.
what? Exactly.
And it looked John Wick to me is one of those movies on that you can watch and really not a lot to pick apart.
Mhm.
Right.
For a guy like me, I'm just watching, loving it. You guys would pick it apart a little bit more than I would, but it's all about even that training for a role. You're training.
But you can tell that Keanu Reeves is trained.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can tell.
Yeah.
You know, when a guy in a movie grabs a pistol and he's doing the old cup and saucer and he's doing, you know, he's shooting, I don't know, something out of a bird out of the air or something like that. You're like, that's not.
Right.
You know, you got Wick who's rolling. He's got
Sure.
everything you see. You know, is good. But as Joe said, to be able to replicate some of that stuff is not going to happen from 99% of the people
Right.
in the world. He represents the less than, and there's still a little bit of luck that goes into
Well,
if
yes.
somebody with that skill set still hit somebody with some of those things.
Yeah.
It would be. But you know, mental rehearsal, as you said, you know, it's not sitting around thinking about. It's not, well, you're paranoid. No, I'm not paranoid. I'm just aware there's bad things that happen in the world. There's bad people in the world. I go to Walmart or whatever. I'm mentally rehearsing. What if somebody jumps out and does this? What if somebody does that? And maybe you say, well, he's crazy. Maybe, but if somebody jumps out, it's going to be a bad day if I've
Yeah.
thought through it.
You've got the shotgun.
Yeah.
We'll show the shotgun to everybody at home.
And as you said, we check these things 3 times back here. We're all checking. We're all doing different things with them. But this is one of the biggest myths, not just with television, but I think as I talk to people throughout the country and throughout the world, it's like, well, I don't want to use a shotgun for home defense, man. It's just it's a scatter gun, or it's this or it's that. And granted, it spreads more than a rifle if you're not shooting a slug in it. But the thing about this, and we use this shotgun here as an example, you know, typically the approximate spread of a shotgun, I know barrel length figures into that to some degree, but this is a smooth bore shotgun, looks like maybe a 16-inch barrel, like something along those lines. But, you know, even if we had a 14-inch barrel or we had a 26-inch barrel, whatever the case may be, the approximate spread of a shotgun is about an inch per yard. So you watch television, I've seen television, was watching something the other day, and somebody shot with a shotgun, and it literally, at a maybe 10-foot range, put a spread on the wall that was, I'd say, 6 or 7 foot in diameter.
Which again is theater.
In reality, that's not going
Yes.
to happen. Typically, and you mark this down and you check this yourself, because this is the best thing to do, is typically your spread for a shotgun is going to be around 1 inch per yard, which means at 10 yards, your average spread is going to be somewhere around 10 inches. Well, a 10-inch spread at 10 yards, start putting some of that into perspective. You know, a room in a house that's 30 feet long is almost unheard of. I mean, I know very few people that have that, and that's if they're standing one end from the other.
Even a hallway.
Yeah,
Isn't that long?
A more realistic distance is 5 yards. You know, 15 feet, something like that. That's a average size room, and you've got a 5-inch spread. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll shoot a paper target and they'll see where the wadding prints on that and think, oh, well, that's, you know, I've got this spread. The wadding doesn't, you know, the wadding's not going to. I'm figuring the pellets out whenever I start doing that, because the wadding is not going to, you know, at 7-10 distance, it's going to maybe smack you a little
It's
bit.
not going to penetrate. Yeah.
Right.
And you know, this has all been great stuff. I've really enjoyed this. Having both you guys here. It's either usually me or Joe or me and Bobby. But it's been great to hear all of this about, because a lot of people don't separate TV from reality, and they think they can watch this and do this. You know, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, when the Lethal Weapon series comes out years ago, all you heard, everybody wanted Barbarettas and all this because they wanted to be like, you know, Mel Gibson. I'm more like the fat man Mel Gibson, the Santa, you know, the holiday movie he had last year, not the cool,
Yeah.
sleek Beretta Mel Gibson. But guys, thanks so much, and we want to invite you all to come by Center Target
Absolutely.
and talk with the guys. If you don't know what you're looking for, or even topics like this, talk to them about it. They can help you. You know, they can answer questions. Bobby here, he's full of like me and Joe. We're just here at the table.
No, I'm
Bobby's
just here with you guys.
Bobby
We're
is the
all,
encyclopedia, and he is a professional. But
you
guys,
guys are the
want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas.
yes,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
to
Christmas
everybody
to
And-
out there.
everybody.
Guys, we'll see you real soon. Stop on by and check out Center Target Firearms and Indoor Range. And remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next Friday.
See you guys. God bless.